Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Stamp and Chat with Gina K. I am Gina, and I am so excited to see so many of you here already. We have people from all over the US and all over the world who have joined us tonight, so welcome. Today is Memorial Day here in the United States, and Memorial Day is the day that we remember and honor those who paid the ultimate price for our freedom. And I spent a little bit of time today thinking about that and thinking about all of those who gave their lives to protect mine. And boy, I couldn't be more grateful, and also to all of their families. Also, my topic today is about caring. And I decided to do a topic on this because, of course, you know, I haven't been able to stay out of conversations about caring and caring for others and, you know, putting others first. I tend to get myself involved in conversations on Facebook that I shouldn't. And I know you guys always give me great advice and say, don't do that. But sometimes it's just hard, you know? So tonight's topic is about caring. So caring is an expression of what it means to be a human being. It's what it means to be human. You may not think that one person can make a difference, but too often we underestimate the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or even a caring text. Yet all of these things have the potential to turn a life around. Even the smallest act of caring for another person is like a droplet of water. It will make ripples throughout the entire pond. So that is my topic for tonight. I do have a quote that I'm going to give you at the end of the night, but I think it's time to craft. Now, I do want to show you something that I just got. I've had these before, and I may have even showed you these before, but I was thinking a lot about what Merry Monday is all about. And Merry Monday is about making holiday cards. And my intention for Merry Monday was that we would all make these cards, and then we would take time to sign them and address them and put them aside. And then in early December, mid-December, we could get them out in the mail. And then once our social distancing is kind of out of the way and we're back to where we were, we can enjoy the holidays and be with people and have some fun and maybe go to holiday get-togethers, and we're not thinking about, oh, I've got to get home and make those cards and I have to sign those cards. So that was my point. But I've been making the cards every Monday, but I haven't been very good about signing them and addressing them. And I wanted to get started on that now that I have help back, my wonderful staff back at work. So I wanted to show you something that I got in my last grocery trip. So I did go to the grocery store early this morning. It's a great time to go. There's nobody around. And I picked up some of these friction pens. And I know they have these at Target. I do some of my grocery shopping at Target because they have a great grocery section at our local Target. And I picked these up there this morning. And they have them in black, they have them in colors, and they also have them in like red and green. There's a bigger pack. And what I love about these pens is, being a card maker, we put so much time into our cards. And the one thing that drives me nuts is when I'm signing the card or I'm writing a message in there and I spell a word wrong or I miss a word. And gosh, you know, I hate to have to redo the whole inside of the card. These are erasable, and I love that. And, you know, we've all heard of erasable pens of the past, the days of old, that didn't work very well. I just want to show you how well these work. So I just have a piece of cardstock here, and I'm just going to sign my name. So this is not really an eraser. It's just a rubber piece, and these erase with friction. So you see how this is just disappearing? That's heat. it's doing it with heat. There's actually, I wipe it away out of habit because I'm used to all the, you know, eraser stuff, but there isn't anything. It just erases your pen and it does it with heat. Now, that being said, one time I was doing an experiment with my laminator and I marked different pieces of cardstock before I put it through the laminator. And when it came out the other side, everything that I had written on there was gone because the heat will take the print away. So the friction creates heat and that erases. So if you happen to go on to Target, I think probably some of the craft stores have them. Simon Says Stamp may have them. Your local craft stores may have them. Target.com. Look up the friction pen. It's Frixion. And they are super cool. I love having them. I use them for journaling and different things like that because I don't know, I don't like to have a lot of mistakes in my stuff. So anyway, I wanted to show you that. Okay, so for tonight, let me get this out of the way. For tonight, I'm going to be using this Merry and Bright stamp set, and I'm going to be showing you a fun technique where you can do some ink blending right on a stamp and then emboss it, and it's such a pretty look. It just kind of takes those solid stamps like these up to the next level. So I'm going to get some cardstock here, and I'm going to get my Misty. Now, you definitely need a stamp positioner for this. I'm going to be using my Misty. Sorry for my ring light. It's definitely in a weird position. I have a piece of Gina K Designs layering weight cardstock in here. And I'm going to start with one of these big, chunky poinsettia flowers. So yeah, it was hot today here. Gosh, it was close to 80. I thought we were going to have some rain, but we didn't. So that was kind of nice. I was able to pull some weeds outside. There's always something to do. Always something that needs to be done, no matter how much time you have. There's always something that needs to be done. So I'm going to slide this over here. Excuse my light reflection from overhead. And I'm going to use some Tangerine Twist Ink. So I'm going to ink that up really well with Tangerine. And then I'm going to stamp that onto my cardstock. And somebody gave me some great advice about using like a microfiber cloth when I don't have a sleeve. And that is a good idea. I need to get a microfiber cloth. My tidy towel is the closest thing I have, and it's always wet. So I'm going to stamp that a second time. There we go. Okay. So now I have my tangerine here. And now I'm going to get a tidy towel out, and I'm going to clean that really well. My tidy towel, I like it almost dry. It's just damp. It doesn't leave a lot of water behind. Sometimes I get it too wet, and that's kind of annoying. All right, and then I'm going to get, let me make sure I have a sponge dauber that's the right color here. I want to test that. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so I'm going to use some red velvet for this. I'm going to take a little bit of red velvet ink on the sponge, and I'm just going to kind of dab that into the center of this stamp. Not all the way out to the ends of the petals. And then I'm going to stamp that. Okay, let's get a little more ink on there. And we'll stamp it again. Okay. Now that, it might be hard to see, but if you look close, the center is a little more red than the petals. So now I'm going to add one more color onto there. I'm going to add a little bit of faded brick. And that's really a deep brick red. So I'm going to add that into the center. And then I'm going to stamp it again. Now you should be able to see that that is much darker in the center. And I feel like this really comes to life when you add the embossing powder. So now I'm going to clean that stamp off again. And I'm going to use a little bit of Versamark ink on here. And I'm going to put that stamp or ink up that paper. Okay, there we go. Now I have a piece of cardstock here, the one I used my friction pen on, and a little bit of fine detail clear powder. I'm going to sprinkle that on top. You can kind of see that looks a little bit whitish now. And then I'm going to use my heat tool to emboss that. So just brushing away any excess or blowing away any excess. Not that it really matters because I'll be cutting this one out, but you can really see what happens here. So I feel like now you can start to see how that deepens in the center. I really like the way that looks. I had done one a little earlier. Actually, I had time to play with this today. And this one, my tangerine might be a little bit lighter on this one. Not really though, it looks pretty close. So I love that two-tone look. And it's just subtle. It's just real subtle, but it definitely is different than just a big, chunky, plain colored image. Okay. So now I'm going to do a couple of leaves. So let me clean this stamp off and get this out of here. All right. And of course I could do the small one. You could do as many of these as you want. Just build a whole bunch of them and then, cut them out and they're ready to go for cards when you need them. This is a great mojo starter because it's just a technique. And you can just keep those bits and pieces in your bits and pieces box like I have. Okay, so here are 2 leaves from the set. That's these leaves right here. And then what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to stamp this. I'm going to try this one in key lime. I had done one in jelly bean, but I really want to see what key lime looks like with this. So I'm inking it up with key lime. And then I'll stamp it. Key lime and jelly bean, the lids are fairly close in color, but they are really not the same color. That looks really cool. I like key lime. Okay, and we'll see what this looks like. And then I'll show you the one I did with jelly bean. So I'm going to use a little fresh asparagus. And let me show you how I'm going to ink this. So this one, I'm going to just kind of go around the outside a little bit. Like that, kind of dabbing it around the outside. And then I will stamp it. That's pretty cool, huh? So that kind of gives a nice blended look. Now you can take it a step further if you want. All of the Gina K Designs inks are Copic friendly. So I just grabbed a yellow Copic marker. And I'm just going to color a little bit of yellow in the center here. Just to add another dimension to this. And now I've cleaned these off and I'm going to use, I better get that paper back in the right spot. I'm going to use some of this Versamark ink. And then I'll go right on top. I think I'm right on top. That may have shifted a little bit, but we'll see. It should be close. And then I'm going to use the clear embossing powder again. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Let me get this put away. I just don't like to have the powder sitting right in front of where I'm embossing so I don't end up embossing the whole jar of powder. You could see that happening, right? That's just pretty. I like that. It's just such a different way to create an embossed image, and you can see it's nice and shiny. And let me show you the one I did with Jelly Bean. So it's not that much different. This one maybe glows a little bit more than the Jelly Bean one. The Jelly Bean one doesn't have quite as much yellow as Key Lime in it. So that's kind of a fun little technique to add, take those chunky stamps up to the next level. So I'll use the Jelly Bean one because I think I'm a little off center there. I think my paper shifted and I wasn't paying close enough attention. And I'm gonna see if I can cut these out straight. But before I do that, I'm going to do that same trick one more time, but I'm not going to, well, you know, I could. Let's see. Should I try to? No, I think I'm gonna do this just in black. I'm gonna do the greeting in black. Now I'm going to need a bigger piece of white cardstock, and I wasn't prepared for that because I totally forgot that I needed to have a greeting on my card. So let me grab a piece of cardstock here from my cardstock drawer. You know I must have a piece somewhere. Oh yeah, I do. Okay, so here's a piece. Sorry for the delay. Now for this, because it's a thing, I'm just going to do a little bit of Embossing Magic. I guess I could have done that for the other, but you really don't see anything because it's not, you know, it's not really a color. It's just clear and you're not doing any emboss resist or anything. So if you get a few specks, it really doesn't matter. Okay, I'm going to put this right here. I love this greeting for Christmas cards. I just love the style of it, and it's nice and big and bold, and it covers up a big chunk of your card. Okay, so I'm using black onyx first, and I'm going to stamp that. Boy, I really should have brought a paper towel in. Okay, I'm going to stamp that one more time just to get a really good impression. Part of my problem is I don't clean my stamps enough. I'm trying to be better about that. But if you don't clean your stamps enough, sometimes the ink dries on there and it kind of messes things up. You know what? I'm going to restamp that because it is Memorial Day weekend and I want to, that'll be my reason. I really just needed to stamp it once first on a scrap piece of paper because it had some dried ink on it and I needed to get that moving. So that'll be my scrap piece of paper. You know what else is helpful too? If you have a piece of cardstock, you can, you know, use that and it slides a lot better. Okay. Much better. Okay, now I'm going to clean that. And I'm going to do the Versamark thing. And I know I didn't use the Embossing Magic this time, but again, it really doesn't matter because we're not doing any emboss resist. So you're not going to really see anything. Clear is a great choice. Clear powder. Okay. So I used my Versamark. And then let me go back to my piece of cardstock trick. It really does make it easy. Try that and see how that works for you. Okay, now I will use my embossing powder on that. And I could just leave it black and leave it plain, but I decided not to do that because I really like if I'm using embossing powder on my images, I like my greeting to also be done in embossing powder. It seems like the embossed images really take over the card, and the greeting is kind of dull if you don't have a shine to it as well. So I know you guys hear Teddy in the background. Our neighbors are having they have a few cars in the driveway. I think they're having some family over. And they have a dog, so the dog is playing in the yard, and Teddy sees the dog. Okay, so that looks pretty good. You see that? See how that just makes it pop a little bit more. I like that. Okay, so I am going to put this aside. Sorry, Betty. Hey, Teddy, can you come here a minute? Maybe she'll come in. The problem is Teddy's such an old girl, and I don't think she hears well anymore, and I know she doesn't see very well. So she doesn't see things that are there, and she does see things that aren't there. So that is, that's the problem with my little old girl. Okay, so I'm going to, I'm going to do something with my die cutting machine because I just can't stand leaving the screen empty. So I thought I'd go to a front shot here. So I'm going to try to die cut these, and I'm going to use my technique where I first cut out a little piece of cardstock using the die. So here's a little scrap of cardstock here. I'm going to do that first. Now, I could have stamped it second, but I needed the MISTI, so that technique that I showed the other night, some of you may have seen the technique that I used to die cut that is, it's pretty cool the way I did it. I should probably try to link that up, but I actually die cut a piece of cardstock, and then I put that empty part into the MISTI, and then I drop in a little die cut piece into the open hole and line it up by stamping another piece underneath. And yeah, it works really well, but it does not work well when you're doing this technique. Okay, so we're gonna do it this way, and I'll see if I can show you on this piece of, on this camera over here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay that into position, and then I'm going to try to find exactly where that goes. And that looks pretty good, right? So this helps me get even white space around my flowers. I can't stand when the white space isn't even. It bothers me, so I try to do this. I'm going to take a little purple tape first, and I'm going to tape this down underneath. So I know that that is where it needs to be. Then I'm going to position this on top so it looks perfect. And I'm going to use another little bit of purple tape. And for those of you stressing for me, I have more purple tape. Because I was down to it was like being down to the last square of toilet paper. Makes you a little nervous to get that low, especially right now. Same with purple tape. All right, and then I'm going to find a spot, and you can feel it. Like when you put that down there, you'll feel it like pop into place, and you won't be able to move it around. And then I'm going to use another little bit of purple tape just to hold that down. And I can reuse these pieces of purple tape over and over again for this. Okay, then I'm going to put my other plate on top, and I'm going to send this through my die cutting machine. And I should get nice even edges. All right, so let's hope for the best here. Let's go back to full overhead so I can move this. Wow, look at all the shreds from my die cutting machine. I really need some new plates, but that's perfect, huh? That's pretty good. I like that. That just makes me happy. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing for the leaves. And you can keep these, like if you want to just keep that little template, you can keep it with your die set. That was just on a torn edge. That's why it pulled. Purple tape is generally a little bit more gentle than that, but the new purple tape is even more gentle. They have the new purple tape, and you'll know the difference because the old purple tape looks like this, and the new purple tape, where's my new roll? I have it somewhere. Well, the new purple tape has the ThermoWeb logo all over it, so you'll know if you got the new one or if you got the old one. We don't have any of the new wide size yet in stock, but we did get the new small one. So if you've ordered the new small one from us, that definitely shipped, and it's a little lower tack. Of course, you can always just tap it onto your shirt and then you get the same result. So if you have the old one, there's no need to panic. You can still use it. Okay, so I'm going to send this through the machine now. You see that move? I'm going to send that through the machine. It feels like a Monday today. It really does. It just feels like Monday, like things are going wrong and things are moving around, but you know, it is Monday, so it should feel that way. Okay, so now I have, let's go back overhead. Now I have these two templates, and you can save these and you can stamp. If you've ever tried stamping your stamps on craft or sandy beach, it's really very pretty. So save those because you can use them again. Here I have this one and I'll put it aside. One day I'll pull out the box of all my saved pieces and we'll do some mass stamping. So I got, you guys know that I started planting some vegetable seeds. Well, some of them didn't make it. It was a little sad. My peppers are doing good. They were the ones I was the most worried about being able to do, and they're doing really well. Peppers are doing well. My kale, I'm starting to get some of the angry leaves on my kale. You know how they have they start out very soft looking and then the angry leaves show up. Well, I'm starting to get some of those, so that's good. And then my arugula is doing really well. My broccoli was doing so well, and then it just all gave up all at once. It was very sad day. And what else did I plant? I'm trying to remember. I planted some bib lettuce, and out of all the seeds I planted, only one actually took, and then it didn't make it. So I don't know if it was bad seeds or just not a green enough thumb. I'm gonna probably say it was me more than it was the seeds, but you never know. All right, so I'm gonna do this one first. I'm gonna do these one at a time because I can't really line those up without overlapping. So I'll do these one at a time. I'll send this one through. Hoping for the best. Sorry for my hand flapping around there. Hopefully this one came out good. That's a lot of purple tape holding everything down. Oh yeah, that looks good. I don't know, this is worth it to me. This could be like a sitting in front of the television project for me, just cutting all of these out and making sure that they look good. It's just a thing, you know, crafting. I think the biggest thing about crafting for me is when I craft, I don't want to rush. It doesn't matter to me that something might take a little bit longer to do, because crafting should be enjoyable. If you're constantly in a rush to craft, then it's a job. It's not a hobby. And so when I get to craft and I get to make things that I just want to make and enjoy the time, I like to take my time. I don't worry that it takes a little longer to do this technique. It's just relaxing. So don't be in too much of a hurry when you're crafting. All right, I got to get my hand out of here. I can't stand my hand flapping around there. There we go. Oh, I haven't even looked at your comments for a little bit, so I got to see what you guys are saying. Are you still here? Okay, so there's my second one. So now I have 2 poinsettia leaves, and let me get the camera flipped over. 2 poinsettia leaves and my poinsettia flower. And I never would have thought to use tangerine But when you use tangerine and then you go to red and then faded brick, it really is a nice blend. Really is. Okay, and here's the other one from earlier. I don't know if that one you can see better, but they're pretty close. Okay, so now I have one more die cut to make, and that is this big greeting. So I want to cut this out using the oval dies. And I had a couple questions about these dies. So somebody was asking which set does the layers. So you actually need both sets together to create the little black layer. The double stitched one is 1/8 of an inch smaller than the single stitched one. Now they're both pretty close in size, so you can use them for the same applications. But if you want to use them together, this one would be your white piece or your greeting piece, focal image piece. And then the single stitched one would give you that tiny little 1/16 of an inch border. So it's 1/8 of an inch bigger, but it gives you a 1/16 of an inch border all around. So I'm going to use this big one for this. And I'm using the double stitched one. And then I'm going to tape this down too, to pull all that purple tape off so I can reuse it. I actually have I think my neighbors must think I'm nuts because my craft room is right in the front of the house. I can like look right over and see my front door. But the problem with that is we have a big window over the door and the sun comes in and it hits me right in the eyes. So I have cardstock taped up on the window with purple tape. And I'm sure my neighbors must walk by and say, why are they doing that? Why don't they get a window treatment? But when I'm not, when I'm not crafting on a video, I like to have it open. So yeah. Okay, so here is that oval. That's just a little what that is. Here we go. It's probably shreds. If you start getting like marks, it's probably because your plates are just so marked up and old. And I use a lot of black cardstock, so sometimes little shreds get pressed into my ovals. You can pick them off though. But every once in a while, I like to get a new set of plates. I don't do it often, but sometimes you just need to. They get warpy. I've heard that you can put them in the oven on a really, really low temperature, and that can possibly make them unwarp, but that kind of scares me. I mean, I pretty much burn bacon every morning. So the thought of putting my die cutting machine into the oven and remembering that it's there until the smoke detector goes off, that doesn't sound like a good plan to me. I just dropped the die. Okay. All right, so, but for those of you who have tried that, if that works, and I'm not recommending it, but if that works, let me know. Okay, so this is the single stitched oval. And you see how that just looks really nice on top of that the double stitched oval looks really nice on top of that single stitched oval. It gives you that nice little shadow layer. Okay, so now let me get my die cutting machine out of the way. Now I want to do something different to my white piece of cardstock. So I have the white piece of cardstock here, and you guys have seen me actually use stencils through the die cutting machine to create like an embossing folder look. Well, I love that look, but I think what I want to do is, this is the thick brush stencil. And even though this is I think this came out in the summer, I feel like it kind of plays off really well with this design. These are very graphic images, and this is a very graphic looking stencil, so I think they'll work well together. So I'm going to do that. And what I'm going to do, you can see I've used this, given a lot of love to this stencil. I think I used this with the Gina K Electropop ink, and that might be why it's such a mess. I have a big piece of yellow cardstock here I'm just going to use. I don't want to use this for something else. Let me get a smaller piece of something. Okay. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of the life-changing blender brushes. These are by Picket Fence Studios. And then I'm going to use the Whisper Amalgam Ink. So the amalgam ink can be used just like regular ink. This is also a great ink for doing no-line coloring because you can use this ink with anything. Copic markers, watercolor, which you can't with any water-based ink. You can also use it with colored pencils and Gamsol. So if you're looking for one ink that does it all, our Obsidian amalgam ink is a great black, and the Whisper is great for no-line coloring. So I'm going to use this though for some ink blending. So I'm going to get some ink there on my brush. This is a very, very, very light color. So I think I'll start in the center. I'll just work my way out. And if you're looking at this and saying, that does not look like anything, I agree. It does not look like anything yet, but it is a very, very light gray. And it's the perfect gray that almost gives you the look of just embossing. It's not invasive. You know how some colors kind of take over the card? This is just not invasive, and I like that. So I'm going to take that off. See how that looks? It's just very soft. Almost not there. So I like that. Okay. So I'm going to pull that purple tape off of there. See, no damage. I think it was just my torn edges of that other cardstock. Plus, our Sandy Beach cardstock is a little bit rougher. It's more like a craft cardstock, so it's got a little texture. Not really texture like you can stamp on it, and it's not that kind of texture, but it's just not quite as smooth as our white cardstock. Okay, so that is going to go on top of a black panel. So I'm going to get a little bit of my tape runner here. Oh, this is a perfect time to show you how easy it is if you haven't seen this before. I've had some tape runners where I've had to do quite a bit of fighting to get them to load properly. And if you've never tried the Gina K Designs tape runner, I just want to show you how easy it is to load. There's a little button here that says push. So you push on that and that case just will open right up. And then this whole cartridge comes out. And that's done. Then we sell our adhesive dot runner refills in a 2-pack. And I think it's probably one of the better priced 2-packs around. And then you just drop that in and you'll feel it kind of click into place. And then you just close it and it's ready to go. So that's how easy it is to load. So I am going to put a little bit of tape runner on the back here. And line that up. So if you're wanting to know the measurements, this is 3 3/4 inch by 5 inches, and then the black piece is 3 7/8 inch by 5 1/8. Now, a great color cardstock to go with this tangerine, red velvet, faded brick mix is Red Hot. It's a cardstock that I don't give a lot of love to because I tend to use red velvet a lot, but Red Hot, I don't know if you can really see this well on camera. I have done some comparisons. Let me see if I have a piece. Let me see. Give me one sec here. I'm gonna run out of the scene. Okay, so the big difference between Red Hot, see, this is red velvet. And red velvet, can you see how it's just different? It's a very, very true red, but Red Hot has more of an orangey red tint to it. So we have 3 different colors of red. We have cherry red, which lends itself to more of a pink red, like almost like a cherry. And then red velvet is the truest red. And then Red Hot has that little hint of hot sauce in it. So that's what I'm going to be using for this, because I think that it just brings that tone out really nicely. So this piece is going to go on top of my Red Hot card base. And let me line that up. My camera's in the way of my overhead view. Okay. And then I'm going to layer these two pieces together using the tape. And this didn't warp very badly, even though I embossed it, and probably because my heat tool was pretty hot when I used it. That can make it not warp as badly if you heat up your tool a little bit first. Now, how am I going to do this? I didn't think this through. I might just let it overlap a little bit onto the words at the bottom and then have the leaves come in like this, because you can definitely read that either way. Yeah, I think I'll do it that way. So that is what my layout is going to look like. I just love this big, bold greeting. Now, I could pop it up. Maybe I'll do that. I'll pop it up with a little bit of foam tape. And then I have two pairs of Tim Holtz scissors. My black ones are my ribbon cutting scissors. My red ones are my sticky gooey ones. Another pair of scissors that I love, and you've seen me recommend these before, these are the Brutus Munroe scissors. You can find those at brutusmunroe.com. He's got some great tools too. He's got kind of a cool thing going with his scissors, because you can buy his scissors and then they have different caps that you can put on top. So if you have two pair of the scissors, you can have a red cap and one you can have a black cap, and the red cap is your gooey one and your other cap is your pristine one that you use for things like cutting ribbon or fussy cutting images out. I have a lot of scissors. I have a scissor thing. But I'm sure all of you do, right? Isn't that kind of what we do? We have to try all the things and then we love them all. All right, so then this is going to go on top, and that's going to go up a little higher. I'm trying to make sure it's even from side to side, because once this goes down, it's not moving. Okay, that looks good. And then I'm going to use, so what I'll do here is, because I want my flower to be popped up, I'll just put tape on this part of the flower and foam on the part of the flower that has to go onto the card. This way it'll keep it fairly level. So I will start with a little bit of foam, and this is the Thermoweb foam tape, the Gina K Thermoweb foam tape. So that'll go there, and then I'll just see that that keeps that very level. And then I'll put just a little bit of tape runner on this part here to stick it to the oval. Sounds like I'm mad at the oval. I'm sticking it to the oval. I'm goofy tonight. Okay, so let's just find the right spot. Looks pretty good. Okay. You can see it gives you that nice loft, but everything is nice and level. And then these, I can just slide under here, and then this one can be lower, so that'll give me some more neat depth. I like that. So these I'll just tape right on. Tape that right there. And then this one, I'll tape right under here, like that. And there is my finished card. You can see the shine. Make sure you get the shine view. Yeah, you can see some of that. And of course, I'll take a picture of this and I will post it in my Facebook group. And for those of you who are new, maybe this is the first time you're watching a live, you can head over to our Facebook group. We would love to have you as a member. The Facebook group is called Gina K Designs and Stamp TV Friends. And if you just started watching me, I used to have a website called stamptv.com. Now that just takes you to the Gina K Designs website. That was kind of pre-Facebook. Facebook was around, but it wasn't very popular like it is now. And all the card makers would come over and hang out at Stamp TV. But now we have Facebook and Facebook groups, and there's lots of great crafting groups out there. So we would love to have you as a member. If you used to be a member of Stamp TV and you haven't joined it, you're going to find that it feels very similar to that. All the great support from everybody. So I'll show you just a couple other color combinations that I like. I won't have time to make a full card. I'm going to put this one aside. But I'll show you a couple other color combinations that I really like. So I'm going to this is not a Christmas set. I'm going to use Sentimental Bouquet. This is a great stamp set. It does have a coordinating die set. What I love about this stamp set is the images are just the right size where they can stand alone and make beautiful cards. But they also work really nicely in the wreath builder. So this is one of those fun stamp sets that you can use for multiple things. So let me put this up here so we can do a couple different combinations. So one combination that I'm going to try here is I'm going to start with some wild dandelion. And when I'm using smaller stamps, I tend to like to go with the smaller ink, but you don't have to. If you have both, great. If you don't, the ink cubes will work great on big stamps, and the big pads will work great on small stamps. Okay, so a little something on that. Let's give that one more application of ink. Haven't used this stamp set in a while, so it feels like it's not broken in. There we go. Wild Dandelion is such a great summer yellow. I love that color. This is the Wild Dandelion cardstock. It's just so bright and fun. I was going to use that for my scrap piece of paper, and then I thought, ooh, I think I could have some fun with that if I do something with this Sentimental Bouquet. So I'm going to use some sweet mango with this. So you can use sponge daubers with the ink cubes. Just don't press super hard. And then I'll just touch the center of that a little bit. Let's see what that looks like. Ooh, that's pretty. That is just pretty. You guys see that? I like that. Now there also are smaller sponge daubers, and there's also really tiny blending brushes that are part of the life-changing brush set. And I like these too for this technique. I want to make sure that I don't have some weird color on there. Okay. I use my tidy towel just to kind of wipe the color off. It's just damp enough that it doesn't really mess up the brush, but it gives you, it cleans it up pretty nicely. So I'm going to use some Tangerine Twist on this. Let's see if I can just pounce some of that on there. Let me see if I can get that in the scene so you can see how I did that. Just kind of added a little bit of that. Let's see if we can accent that center a little bit with some tangerine. Woohoo, yes. So that's a really nice combination. Definitely a fun way to give your embossing powder a lot of depth. So let's emboss it and see what it looks like. I don't think I'll go over. I just wanted to try that combination. Another great combination is Bubblegum Pink, Dusty Rose, and Passionate Pink, and also lovely lavender, maybe a little plum punch with that. So just grab some of your different ink colors and try using them together. And remember, use the same technique that I showed on Friday night, where I showed how to kind of figure out which ink colors blend well together by making sure that they're next to each other, real close to each other on the color wheel. Okay. Now let's get some embossing powder on there, and then we'll emboss it. I just love what happens when you get the shine on there. It just accentuates all that really pretty color blend. But it's Merry Monday, so I'm not making a card that isn't a Christmas card, but I just had to show you another color combination because this is a pretty one. And of course, you don't have to do 3 colors. You can just do 2 colors. Here we go. Yeah. I love the shine. The shine just makes it all really pop there. Isn't that pretty? Pretty color combination. Very bright for fun summer cards. Yes. So that was fun. Do we have time to do one more? Yeah, we do. Let's do one more. Let's just do a leaf. Or let's do a leaf. Let's do something crazy with a leaf. Okay. So get that into place. Oh, I'm sorry. I sneezed. That is, that's not even allowed right now. There's no sneezing allowed. Oh my goodness. Okay, so what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to use some jelly bean green on this. So I have some jelly bean green. And I'm going to ink that up with jelly bean first. And then I'm going to be crazy. I'm going to do something really crazy. Okay. I like that little image. That's a good wreath builder image right there. I like that. Okay, let me grab another ink cube out of my drawer here. Let's do a little blue lagoon on that. So I'm going to just touch the edges a little bit. Okay. And this almost, this is almost like layered stamping. Oh, that's pretty. Isn't that cool? It's kind of a way to make your chunky stamps into layered stamps. The only thing is each one's going to be different, which is cool, actually. Each one will just be a little bit different. And then we'll do, oh, I can't believe what I just did. I took the stamp off. So now I got to put the stamp back on. But just like a wreath builder, you can reposition it and see exactly where you were if you're using the MISTI and pick it up again. Okay, saved. So now I'm going to use some Versamark again. That might have been worth the whole video. And we will emboss that with a little clear powder and see what that looks like. I like that combination of the blues and the greens together. Okay, move that out of the way. Oh yeah, that heated up really quick. I feel like I need to do something with this. I'm gonna make something with that. That's so fun. Oh, I love it. So that's another fun color combination that you can make. Let me bring my first card back in here, my card, so that you guys can see that one more time. And I will be posting that in our Facebook group in just a little bit. So I'm going to leave you with a quote tonight. And this is something, I found this quote. It's something definitely that I've learned over the years. So here it is. And for those of you who joined us late, our topic was about caring. And so I talked a little bit about caring at the beginning. My final quote for the night is, as you grow older, you discover you have 2 hands, one for helping yourself and one for helping others. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I had a great time with you. I hope that you had a wonderful weekend. I will be back on Wednesday with some Wednesday whimsy for you, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you again real soon.